polls not yet open and 0% of the precincts reporting, MSNBC can now report the first results of the 2008 presidential elections. That's right. We are now predicting that Republican presidential candidate Jim Gilmore will not, repeat, not be the next president of the United States, unless something really fun happens in the Electoral College or the Supreme Court. Gilmore and the women who support him, who must necessarily be Gilmore girls, have officially dropped out of the race. But in our third story tonight, the real 08 story today, the unprecedented dominance of Democratic candidates in the new fundraising figures and the record-breaking numbers racked up by Barack Obama. From April 1st to June 30th, the 8 Democratic candidates raised more than $80 million, among them averaging $10 million. In the same period of time, the 10 Republicans took in less than $50 million, averaging less than $5 million each. Senator Obama raised the most, nearly $33 million to Senator Clinton's $27, making Obama one of just 3 top candidates, along with Rudy Giuliani and Bill Richardson, to improve over the first quarter. Mitt Romney and Senator John McCain, on the other hand, spent more than they took in. McCain cutting expenses yet again today with the resignation of his 3 top media aides, who apparently left without suggesting a way to spin their own departures. Let's turn now to our political analyst, Craig Crawford, columnist for Congressional Quarterly and author of The Politics of Life. Craig, good evening.
You're on a roll. I hate to interrupt you.
Thank you very much. But at the risk of picking on a guy who is clearly not on a roll, the McCain Straight Talk Express, did the wheels come off the vehicle, or is there some kind of spin about lean, mean, fighting machines still possible at this point?
The wheels might have come off. He sort of looks like Fred Flintstone, you know, going down the road with this new leaner campaign. I tell you, if McCain can get back to being Luke Skywalker like he was in 2000, instead of trying to be the Galactic Empire, which he tried to do and couldn't fund, I don't write him out completely. I'm maybe a little more charitable than most of my fellow chatterers about that.
The Democratic dominance in fundraising to this point, obviously, recent history, it's notable. What is its real meaning, and have the Republicans basically winnowed themselves down to 3 or maybe just 2 candidates already?
Well, it's a tangible evidence of what we've been seeing in polls, which is an enthusiasm deficit between the 2 parties. Republicans very demoralized, even depressed, I guess we'd say, about their party, and that's starting to show in the fundraising. Democrats just really riding high with their voters and their sympathizers wanting to give them money. Right now the Republican side is just still looking for somebody to get excited about.
The record breaker in terms of the monies raised, Senator Obama, let's turn to him for a moment. In addition to the total, they keep pointing out in that campaign that it's the type of donation that he's getting that raises eyebrows. Walk us through that. Some of us have heard it before, but walk us through that again, if you would.
Well, his overall numbers of donors are so unprecedented and so much larger than his rivals. One thing he's doing, using some techniques that goose those numbers up, and now the other campaigns are starting to play catch-up in this regard, is for one thing, Keith, he does paid events so that low dollar. I mean, they charge maybe $25 to go to an Obama speech, and then that counts as a donor. Also, if they sell a bumper sticker for $2, they count that as a donor. Of course, they capture those people's information and can go back to them for money, and this is all valid and legal, but it is one reason they've been able to goose those numbers up. But there's nothing taking away from the genuine enthusiasm he's generating out there.
Analyze one more number here for me about Obama. The Los Angeles Times reported this curious, let's call it curious fact. Is it curious or is it troubling? Less than 14% of his money is coming geographically from the South. Does that necessarily mean he has less support there, or just fewer big donors there?
Well, I would imagine something similar for all Democrats. The South is the Republican base. Obama's going to probably have more voters in the South. So many African-American voters really influential vote in southern states. But in fundraising, that didn't surprise me too much.
Let me ask you finally about something, and this is considering the source here, but I'm just wondering to what degree this is actually floating around behind the scenes. Robert Novak said yesterday that the one thing that might energize the Republicans is the prospect they feel of facing either a woman or a black man in this campaign. Is that just the cynical view of a very cynical, bitter old man, or is there something to that? Is that actually running around in Republican circles?
Well, he does probably call himself the Prince of Darkness. There may be some light to that theory, though. I see the possibility emerging of a Clinton-Obama or Obama-Clinton, I don't know, ticket, and that will raise those kind of concerns among some Democratic operatives about whether a black and a woman on a ticket is a problem. But I would say if you look at the blue states that Gore and Kerry won in the last two elections, I don't think a ticket like that would lose any of those blue states, so it then becomes a question whether they can pick up some of the swing states like Ohio, Florida, or maybe a collection of the western states. I think the math's there, even though that would be and maybe the enthusiasm that would generate for such an unprecedented type ticket would overwhelm sort of the traditional concerns people have.
Yeah, we'll see if there's a Republican dumb enough to actually play that up. Craig Crawford of MSNBC and Congressional Quarterly. Thanks as always, Craig.
Good to be here.